Every morning at exactly 7 a.m., an old man walked slowly down the narrow street of Bismillah town. His name was Mr. Kareem, but most people just called him the Silent One. He wore the same brown coat every day. His shoes were dusty. His hands looked tired. But his back was always straight. People saw him but didn't really notice him. He never talked too much. He never smiled much either. He would sit alone on a wooden bench near the tea stall, sipping his cup quietly and feeding some birds with bits of dry bread. "Strange old man," some people said. "Looks like he has no family," said others. No one really knew where he came from or what he had done in life. To the young boys of the area, Mr. Kareem looked like the perfect person to make fun of. One evening, a group of teenage boys stood near the tea stall. They wore loud clothes, laughed too much, and acted tough in front of others. Their leader was a boy named Rizwan. He thought he was the strongest. He loved attention. He didn't respect anyone. "That old man looks like a statue," he joked. "Maybe he can't even speak." Another laughed. Mr. Kareem was sitting on his usual bench, feeding the birds like always. Rizwan picked up a small pebble and threw it toward the bench. It landed near Mr. Kareem's foot. The old man looked up, slowly, but he didn't say a word. Just stared at them. His eyes, deep, calm, and sharp, met Rizwan's for just a second, and then he looked away. Rizwan felt a strange chill, but he quickly laughed it off. The next morning, they came again. This time, they tried to walk in front of Mr. Kareem, blocking his way. The old man didn't stop. He moved aside slowly and kept walking. Rizwan stepped in front again. "Where are you going, Baba? Need help crossing the road?" The other boys laughed. Still, Mr. Kareem said nothing. He entered the tea shop, gave exact change, and walked out with a small cup of tea. "Wow, such a big man," one boy shouted mockingly. "How do you carry that cup?" Mr. Kareem didn't react. He walked back to his bench and sat down. The tea seller, Chacha Yusuf, came out angrily. "Hey, stop it! This man comes here every day. He never disturbs anyone." Rizwan smirked. "Relax, Chacha. We're just playing. Don't tell us what to do." Chacha Yusuf looked at them hard. "You're making a big mistake." The boys laughed and walked away, throwing a piece of paper on the ground. Mr. Kareem picked up the paper and quietly placed it in the dustbin nearby. Later that night, one of the boys, Hamza, the youngest, asked Rizwan, "Don't you think we're going too far?" Rizwan laughed. "He's just a weak old man. What's he going to do, hit us with a stick?" Hamza didn't say anything, but deep inside, something didn't feel right. There was something about Mr. Kareem that didn't match his silence. His hands, even though old, looked firm. His eyes, even though tired, looked like they had seen more than anyone else ever had. Hamza couldn't stop thinking about them. The next morning, something strange happened. As Mr. Kareem was drinking tea, a dog suddenly ran across the street and barked at a little girl who had dropped her food. People gasped. Before anyone could move, Mr. Kareem stood up, quick and steady. He stepped in front of the girl and shouted just one word, "Stop!" His voice was loud, sharp, commanding. The dog stopped. It turned around and ran away. The girl burst into tears. Mr. Kareem picked up her food packet and gave it back gently. Everyone at the tea stall stared in shock. Rizwan, standing at a distance, was stunned. "That didn't sound like a weak old man," one boy whispered. Even Chacha Yusuf looked surprised. For a few seconds, everything was silent. Mr. Kareem sat back down, calm as ever. He didn't speak again, but the air around him felt different now. He was no longer just a quiet old man. Something was hidden in his past, something powerful, and soon, the whole town would find out. The next day, the sun was bright, but the air in Bismillah town felt heavy. The boys gathered again near the tea stall. Rizwan smiled with a plan. "Today, we will teach that old man a lesson." Hamza looked nervous, but stayed quiet. Mr. Kareem came walking slowly as usual. He bought his cup of tea and sat on the bench. The boys circled him like wolves. "Hey, Baba Kareem," Rizwan called loudly. "How's the tea? Too hot for you?" The old man didn't answer. He just sipped quietly. One boy threw a small stone toward his cup. Tea spilled on the ground. Laughter broke out. "See? Even the tea can't stay with you," Rizwan shouted. The tea seller Chacha Yusuf came out and said firmly, "Enough! Leave the man alone!" The boys only laughed louder. Chacha Yusuf looked worried. He whispered to his son, "There is more to this man than we know." Rizwan stepped closer to Mr. Kareem. "Why don't you say anything, Baba? Are you scared?" Still, no reply. Suddenly, Mr. Kareem stood up slowly. He picked up the hot kettle from the tea stall. The boys gasped. Rizwan laughed. "What will you do with that, old man?" Mr. Kareem raised the kettle high, then poured the hot tea carefully into a small empty cup. Not a drop spilled outside. The boys watched silently. Chacha Yusuf's eyes widened. Mr. Kareem said softly, "A steady hand shows a steady mind." Then he placed the kettle down gently. No anger in his voice, no fear, just calm strength. The boys exchanged confused looks. Rizwan tried to laugh again, but his voice was weak. The tea seller's son whispered, "I have seen soldiers do this in old videos." Hamza looked at Mr. Kareem differently now. Could this quiet old man be more than he seemed? Before the boys could say anything, a woman walked out of a nearby shop. She said loudly, "Why do you bother this old man? Have some respect." The boys looked at her. She was middle-aged, strong-looking. "Go home before you cause trouble," she warned. Rizwan stepped back, surprised. The boys slowly left, whispering among themselves. Mr. Kareem sat back on his bench. The tea seller smiled at him quietly. For the first time, the street felt a little safer, but the real story was just beginning. After the tea stall incident, the boys stayed away for a few days, but curiosity grew stronger inside Hamza, the youngest boy. One evening, he decided to follow Mr. Kareem from a distance. Mr. Kareem walked slowly toward his small house at the end of a quiet street. Hamza stayed hidden behind walls and trees, watching carefully. When Mr. Kareem entered his home, Hamza peeked through a window. Inside, the room was small but tidy. On the walls hung old photographs and medals shining under the dim light. Hamza's eyes grew wide. He saw Mr. Kareem sitting on a wooden chair, touching one photo gently. It was a picture of a young man in army uniform. Next, to it were newspaper clippings with headlines like, "War hero saves many lives, decorated soldier honored for bravery." Hamza felt a sudden respect. He didn't know this quiet old man was once a brave soldier. The old man's face in the photo looked strong and proud. Hamza remembered how Mr. Kareem had handled the hot kettle so carefully. He thought about the powerful voice that stopped the barking dog. Suddenly, everything made sense. But then, a soft knock came at the door. Mr. Kareem looked up and opened the door slowly. Hamza quickly stepped back, hiding in the shadows. He whispered to himself, "This man is not weak, he's a hero." The next day, Hamza told his friends what he had seen. Most boys didn't believe him. Rizwan laughed. Old man or not, he's still just a man. But Hamza didn't care. He wanted to learn more about Mr. Kareem. The story of the quiet old man was changing in his heart, and soon the whole town would learn the truth. Days passed, but the boys' teasing did not stop. One evening, when the sun was setting, Mr. Kareem was walking home from the market. He carried a small bag of vegetables in his hand. The streets were quieter now, and shadows grew long. Suddenly, Rizwan and his friends appeared from behind a wall. "Hey, Baba Kareem, where do you think you're going?" Rizwan said with a cruel smile. "We want to have some fun with you," another boy added. Mr. Kareem stopped and looked at them calmly. He did not say a word. The boys laughed and surrounded him. One of them pushed him hard and he stumbled but did not fall. Rizwan laughed loudly. "Look at you! You can't even stand properly!" Mr. Kareem's eyes met Rizwan's. Then, quietly but firmly, he said, "You think this is the worst I have faced? Everyone stopped talking for a moment. The street grew silent. The boys looked confused. Before they could answer, a crowd began to gather. People from nearby shops came out, curious about the noise. The boys felt the attention and started to step back, but Rizwan was angry. He raised his fist, ready to hit Mr. Kareem. Just then, a strong voice from the crowd shouted, "Stop!" Everyone turned to see a man in his 40s step forward. He looked at Mr. Kareem with respect. "Rizwan, this man is not what you think," the man said firmly. The boys froze, unsure what to do next. Mr. Kareem stood tall, his calm face showing no fear. The air was heavy with silence and questions. Something about Mr. Kareem was different now, and the truth was about to come out. The man who stepped forward looked serious and strong. He wore a neat shirt and held a small badge in his hand. "Everyone listen," he said loudly. "I served under Mr. Kareem in the army. He is not just an old man. He is a decorated war hero." People gasped and looked at each other in surprise. Rizwan's friends stepped back, confused and quiet for the first time. The man showed a photo of Mr. Kareem in his army uniform. The crowd began to recognize the old man from the pictures and stories they had heard long ago. One woman said, "I remember. He saved many soldiers in a great battle." Another man nodded. "Yes, he was awarded the highest honor for bravery." Rizwan's face turned pale. He couldn't believe he had bullied a hero. Mr. Kareem stood silently, watching the reactions around him. The man continued, "He fought for our country. He risked his life to protect us all." The street was now full of respect and quiet whispers. Rizwan looked down at his feet, feeling ashamed. For the first time, the boys understood that the quiet old man was a man of great courage. The crowd slowly started to leave, but the story had changed forever. Mr. Kareem was no longer invisible. He was a hero. End of Part 5. Would you like me to continue with Part 6, The Town Reacts? Point 1 Mini, you said. Part 6 ChatGPT said, here is Part 6, The Town Reacts. Written in simple, emotional third-person style with suspense and warmth to keep your audience hooked. Part 6, The Town Reacts. The news about Mr. Kareem spread quickly through Bismillah town. People who never spoke to him before started to look at him with new eyes. Some came to his small house to say sorry. Others brought him gifts, fruits, sweets, and warm clothes. Mr. Kareem accepted everything quietly, never showing much emotion. But inside, he felt a small warmth he had not felt in years. The tea stall where he sat every day became a place where people stopped to talk. Chacha Yusuf smiled more often now when he served tea to Mr. Kareem. Even Rizwan's friends avoided teasing him anymore. One afternoon, Hamza came to visit Mr. Kareem at his house. He carried a small notebook and a pen. "I want to learn about you, Baba Kareem," Hamza said shyly. Mr. Kareem smiled gently. He told stories of the war, the friends he lost, and the hope he carried in his heart. Hamza listened closely, eyes wide with respect. The old man's words touched his heart deeply. Slowly, the town began to change too. People started to help each other more. They remembered that behind every quiet face, there could be a story of courage and pain. Mr. Kareem's life reminded them all to look beyond the surface and to never judge someone without knowing their past. Months passed since the truth about Mr. Kareem came out. The quiet old man had become a symbol of courage and respect in Bismillah town. Rizwan and his friends had changed too. They stopped teasing others and started helping people around the neighborhood. One day the town organized a small ceremony to honor Mr. Kareem. Children, adults, and elders gathered in the park. They gave him flowers and thanked him for his bravery. Mr. Kareem stood quietly on the stage, his eyes shining with a gentle pride. He looked at the young faces in the crowd, faces full of hope. Hamza stood beside him, holding the small notebook filled with Mr. Kareem's stories. The old man smiled and said, "It is not about being loud or strong. True strength is in the heart, in kindness, in standing up for what is right. The crowd cheered loudly. From that day, Mr. Kareem was no longer the silent one. He was a teacher, a hero, and a friend. Bismillah town learned Ozai. Lesson that day: never judge a book by its cover, because sometimes the quietest people carry the greatest stories and the greatest strength.